wasting months trying to grow a podcast this year simply because you're following outdated advice. In this episode, I am giving you the complete roadmap for launching and growing your podcast with the exact steps so you can stop guessing and start moving. These are the same steps that I share with my coaching students inside of my program, Profitable Podcast Blueprint. So we'll go ahead and start with the biggest one, which is mindset. Because here's the thing. If you think you're going to start a podcast and it's going to blow up and people are going to be knocking on your virtual doors and be head over heels about your podcast, chances are that's not going to be like that. However, if you stick with it, I promise you that podcasting will absolutely change your business. So I always tell my clients, you got to give it 3 months before you actually start to see traction in your podcast. But honestly, do not give up on your podcast before 12 months have passed. So podcasting is a long-term game and you need to go into this committed. And the biggest difference between people who have a successful podcast versus those who don't is that the people who are successful, they committed. They told themselves that podcasting was going to work, and it did. Next, we're going to talk about tech because most people get stuck here. They get overwhelmed with which mic should I get and what about recording studio and this thing and that thing. So I'm going to give you the simplest way that you can start right now. By the way, I have a top 0.5% podcast. And when I launched my own show, I started with wired Apple headphones. When I moved up and upgraded my setup, I literally used the cheapest gamer headset that I could find on Amazon. And then when I finally upgraded again, I started using a Blue Yeti. Now, if you ask any top bro podcaster coach, they're going to tell you, do not get the Blue Yeti. No podcaster, no serious podcaster out there uses a Blue Yeti, but I love it. And it makes for a really great photo prop. So I use the Blue Yeti, but if you want something that is a little bit more professional, a little bit something that other podcasters are using, then the Rode Pod mic is the way to go for you. And you can find very affordable options on Amazon, always on sale. So check that one out. But lastly, let me just tell you that the mic on your phone is great. So do not sleep on your phone. And the point of this is for you to start with what you have, because here's the thing. You may think that podcasting is going to be this thing and you think you're going to love it and you spend thousands of dollars building this whole setup and then you come to find out you don't actually like podcasting that much. So before you go and spend all this money in podcasting gear, buying all these crazy mics, start with what you have and you're going to be just fine. I promise you. Next, let's talk about hosting. And for hosting, I will say this. There are lots of free options out there, but nothing's life is actually free, and free comes with a high cost. So truly go for something paid here, and Podbean is amazing. So a lot of people get caught up here. This is another place where people spend months trying to figure out where's the best place to host their show. And I'm here to tell you, I own a podcast marketing production agency, so I have seen every single host there is out there. And my favorite one is Podbean. Podbean is one affordable. They do not cap how many hours you can upload to the platform. They give you great data. So I highly recommend you go with Podbean. I will give you an affiliate link down below that you can use to join, and it'll get you 30 days for free. Now, for actually recording your episodes, I recommend that you use Audacity. It is a free software that you can easily download on your computer, or you can use Descript. Descript is great because you can record right then and there, and you can also edit inside of Descript. If you're looking for something free, start with Audacity. If you're looking for something paid, Descript is the way to go. And if you're doing interviews, I use Zoom because I already paid for Zoom and I don't want to pay for extra things. But if you want to go the paid version, go with Descript, because with Descript you get Squadcast and it's an easy way for you to pay for one thing and get multiple uses out of one software. And as you can see here, I'm all about starting scrappy and on a budget. So these options are the same options that I tell my clients inside of my podcast agency, and they all have really amazing podcasts. Now, the next step is very important because you need to think about who is this podcast for? Who is actually going to listen to this podcast? So you really need to take time to think about your person and their needs and their desires. And your goal as a podcaster is to bridge the gap of your expertise and where your person is. Now, when you think about your person, let's say you're starting a podcast and the target audience is busy moms. Well, a busy mom does not have an hour to listen to your show. So then you know that your podcast needs to be 20 minutes tops. Whenever you do this exercise, make sure that you think about your person and when you believe that they're actually going to listen to the podcast. Are they going to listen to the podcast when they're going on their morning walk? Are they going to listen to the podcast when they're folding laundry? Are they going to listen to the podcast when they're driving to work? And try to fit your podcast in those sections of the day where you believe your ideal listener will listen to the show. Now, of course, your person can listen to the podcast whenever they feel like, and that's the beauty of podcasts, is that you can download it and listen on demand, but you still need to keep your person in mind and having that one ideal listener in mind when you are recording your episodes. That is going to be key for your success. Now, when we think about frequency, this is also very important because we want to make sure that your person can count on you, right? Because they're taking time out of their busy day to come and listen to you. So we want to be consistent because this is a relationship that we're building here. So what I recommend is once a week. I have looked at data again and again inside of my agency and other podcasts as well. And once a week is great. Now, if you don't have the bandwidth for once a week, then the bare minimum that I recommend is twice a month. And trust me, I have done it all. I have done once a month. I have done once a day, every day of the week. I have done one time a week, 2 times, 3 times. And the sweet spot really is 1 time a week. Now, great. You have recorded your episodes. They are on point. You are talking to your ideal listener. Now, what about making your podcast searchable? Because here's the thing that 99% of podcasters miss. The podcast app is a search engine. So you need to make your podcast searchable. Meaning, if you recorded this amazing, beautiful episode and nobody can find it because your title did not hit the mark, guess what? Nobody's going to listen to that. And this is a reason why podcasters crash and burn, because they start podcasting and then they have this amazing episode and they're putting out so much good content out, but nobody's listening. And nobody's listening because somebody can find it. So here is the cornerstone of everything that I do inside of my agency and with my coaching students. We focus on SEO optimizing your podcast so that when you're a ideal person searches something, even on Google or ChatGPT or the podcast app itself, your podcast comes up. And the way to do that is by putting the exact keywords your person is searching inside of your titles and your show notes as well. What this does when you SEO optimize your episodes is that it tells the algorithm, it tells the bots that, hey, listen, this is what this podcast is about, and we're going to be placed in this category. And when your ideal listener is searching for that thing, because you have SEO optimized your episode will come up first in search for the query that your ideal listener just did. And this is the number one strategy to grow your podcast the easiest way possible: SEO optimization. And to give an idea of what that looks like in real life, it's this. Instead of naming your podcast Coffee Chat or My Trip to Target or My Thoughts About XYZ, you want to make it tangible and think about what your person is searching. So for example, instead of saying my thoughts about going vegan, you need to say 10 reasons why you need to go vegan in 2026. That is how you need to think about your episodes so that your person is like, oh, okay, I'm actually searching for this very exact thing. This is the episode I'm going to listen to right now. Now, this is very important right here for the success of your show and for your sanity and to make sure that things are aligned. We have to think about monetization. How are you going to monetize this podcast? So many ways you can monetize a podcast: sponsorships and ads, probably the most popular methods out there. What I actually tell my clients is that you should sell your own products and your services and your offers inside of your podcast. That's exactly what I do. This is how I've been able to monetize my podcast very early on. I didn't wait for everybody to come and knock on my doors and offer me sponsorship deals. I started selling what I already have available to my clients. So think about, what is it that you want to sell? Do you want to get more coaching clients? Do you want to get more service clients? What is it that you want? And start offering those in your podcast episodes. And honestly, you want to be so strategic about this, because one day you're going to be on episode 100 and somebody's going to find you and they're going to love you. And I promise you, they're going to go back down to the very first episode because they're going to want to binge. And if you're priming them from day one, hey, have this thing, come work with me. That is the easiest way for you to get your podcast working for you as your most profitable funnel out there. And here's why this is so important. Instead of the podcast app, you have somebody's attention for literally 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes straight, whereas you don't get that much attention out of them on social media. So we have to capitalize on that. So make sure that you're using your podcast as your best funnel so that people come and work with you. Here's another thing too. A lot of people have really good marketing that they do out there. Their Instagram is on point, their LinkedIn is on point. They have their marketing nailed down. But then they start a podcast and they do not know how the podcast integrates into their marketing. So then they become motivational speakers and they have a lot of interviews on their shows and they wonder why they're not making any money out of their podcast. Wow, it's because they're not actually offering their services. So this is the easiest way for you to make sure that you are actually growing your business with your podcast. So now that you have the full step-by-step guide on how to start and grow your podcast, you might be wondering, what is the best format for me as a busy entrepreneur? Is it solo, interviews, a mix of both? Well, actually, there is a perfect mix for busy entrepreneurs, and that's exactly what I'm breaking down in this episode right here. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that episode, and I'll see you then. Bye!